Hello and welcome back to my videos. I'm Klepik and today I will be doing my first ever tutorial-ish. This will be more so tips and tricks and also introducing you to an idea you may or may not have heard about before. Now, if the title wasn't clear enough, since this is a pretty specific type of drawing to concise into one clickbaity title, here are some examples of what I mean. Using our one and only princess of the world, Hatsune Miku, of course. So hopefully these pictures give you a better view of what I'll be showing you today. Specifically in these, I want to point out some things. Notice how the colors of Miku seem to steadily change in every image? How they seem to work with the environment they're in? That's going to be one of our main focuses today. In this video, I will be going over major tips and tricks, how to do these yourself, and how this exercise will help you improve your art, because that is the goal in the end. Always be improving your art. Never stop the grind unless you need to. If you do need to, do take a break. I love you. There are three main things you really want to pay attention to in these drawings: realism, colors, and lighting. Wait. I know the word realism sounds scary to some. It sounds scary to me, actually. I promise it's not, though. I don't mean realism like Michelangelo's David or the Sistine Chapel's ceiling. I mean realism in the way that you do posing and have characters interact with the environment. You can keep your silly style. I know I did with mine. I know I did while working on these, but have your drawings be lifelike and not have stiff posing. I'll go more in depth, of course, but before that, be sure to keep in mind, is the pose realistic or is it stiff? Are the colors completely opposite to the image, or does the lighting on your character match the lighting of the rest of the environment? Let's go more in depth on realism first. For realism, I want you to keep in mind that you are drawing them in the environments being affected by the environment. They're not just standing right outside of the picture, they are inside of the picture. I and at least half of the art community tend to stick to stiff multi-use poses. I'm calling myself out here, guys. I'm calling myself out on these. This isn't hate on you. If anything, it's hate on me. But to combat this, I want you to really think about what they would be doing in this image. Add dialogue to your image. Add a story. I know I did. I made my characters talk about wanting to kiss each other. That's my dialogue today, guys. Adding these always helps give to a more lifelike pose, because then you have a reason not to just draw them standing still. What do they think of the environment around them? Have they been there before? Did you just throw them there without warning? I know I did a couple times. Or is it a day trip? Maybe their everyday job and they're bored. Maybe they're talking to a friend. Maybe they're talking to a lover. Family? Go crazy with it. Be creative, because the more story you add to the image, the more fun it becomes and the more lifelike it is. It's all about being lifelike. Keep that in mind. Along the same line of having lifelike poses, I know our poses also end up being stiff as hell when we just shoot them out from our brains onto the page over half the time. So that's why we, say it with me, if you can read my mind, look up references for the poses we're doing. References always help for anyone, but especially in this case because they can help you get a more lifelike and less stiff pose. The more fluid your art is, the more lifelike it appears, and the more convincing it will be that your characters actually belong there. References are not evil! I've heard this being thrown around in the art community, but I have never for a second thought references to be evil. They are tools that help your brain improve in skill. Use them. Another thing to note is how you need to draw the whole pose. Not just what you see when looking at it head on, with half the image blocking the character's pose, with half of a tree blocking their pose, with half of a countertop blocking their pose, etc., etc. Drawing the whole pose will make sure it's, again, not off in any ways, and you can always erase the sketch lines of your image. Again, this makes the pose more believable, not only to the viewers, but also to you, because you know what's going on when you draw it now too, instead of just guessing placement of parts of the body that are blocked. Alright, that is my first piece of advice out of the way. Let me talk about this warm-up sketch now a little as well, because I deserve to interject a little of my own geeking out over my characters into this video as well. Now, I know, the warm-up drawing I did for this learning this type of drawing is rough, but hey,
jingle,
hey,
pay attention.
Look
Pay
at the last one. Hey, pretty faces, pretty scenery. Ooh, stay with me. All new skills take time to learn, and I'm currently experiencing some growing pains in my art right now outside of this challenge, so I just went with the ugly art style, because honestly, I kind of like the ugly art style now that I look at it more. But anyway, I'm going to talk about the story of this piece now. These are my lesbians, Deja and Arya. Arya, the girl excited and looking out, while Deja is leaning on the window, yearning for Arya. I mean, nonchalantly talking to Arya about how they know them so well and knew they would love this spot. Nonchalantly, of course. Deja took Arya here because she thought it would be a fun place to hang out on a date, or just as friends. I never really decided when this took place, so this could be when Deja was crushing on Arya or after they got together. But Deja took Arya here also because she knew it would inspire Arya for some new music as well, which Arya is constantly seeking. Alright, that's my little story for this piece, and on to my next piece of advice and my next drawing. Yay! We're now talking about colors. These really seem to make or break this type of piece. If the colors of your character don't match the drawing, they can seem incredibly out of place. Trust me, they looked so out of place for some of these drawings. The goal of these pieces is to make it seem like your characters belong in the piece despite being 2D in a 3D environment. You can have the most cartoonish art style in the world. I know mine is not even close to Bob Ross realism, yet still have them fit into the image seamlessly if you pick the right colors. Off script for a second, but think about Amazing World of Gumball. Like y'all let me show you some like screenshots from it. Y'all see how 3D the environment around them is, and then you see the 2D. You never question it for a second. I know I never question it for a second. They look like they belong. Okay, now I have such an incredibly easy shortcut to picking the right colors to match the environment, and that is, drumroll please, color pick the colors. It's so easy, I promise you. If none of the colors match, which happened to me at least a few times, color pick the closest color, then move it around on the hue and color wheel until it matches your character. But try your best to keep it similar to a color that could actually show up in the image. Just something that I've noticed in my own exercises of this challenge is that most of the time, the colors of your characters will end up much more desaturated than they would in a regular drawing of yours. Keep that in mind, especially when you're unable to color pick. Sadly, I could not give Deja her regular purplish skin for most of these drawings. Very sad. Still had fun putting her in a dress and jeans though in this drawing. It was really fun. She looks really pretty. Let's talk about digital underpaintings. Let's talk about digital underpaintings. That is such a weird word to say. These can really help the colors of your piece if you're struggling like I was in this piece. I could not, for the life of me, even with color picking, make it look like they were in the environment they were in. So I tried underpainting for the first time. Now, traditionally, this has a completely different meaning and honestly is way more complex and requires a lot of color theory from what I've heard, but this is incredibly simple, and I'll show me doing it in real time so you can follow along as well. Once you've blocked out the colors of your character and they still don't look right, I want you to duplicate the coloring layer. You'll probably have to turn the top layer off so you can see the bottom layer. For the bottom layer, what you're going to do is color pick the most common color you see in the drawing and then fill the bottom layer in with that. Then you'll turn your top layer on with all of the colors of your characters. With the top layer, now you're going to lower the opacity a little bit. I usually lower mine to 69 because it works, and also, haha, funny number, I am a 12-year-old boy. This will help your drawing look more cohesive with the background if you're struggling with just color picking. You can also even add a little bit of a gradient of light to dark following your natural light source if you're feeling a little extra like I did here. Alright, that concludes my oh so wise words of wisdom when it comes to colors. Story time again! Yay! Which also again includes my lesbians, of course. This time I have no idea why they are where they are. I saw cutesy furniture in the woods and decided to work with it. I do not know how they got here, how they knew of it. Are they even near New York where they live? Who's to say? What I do know though is how they would interact with such a strange setup while acting like it's not weird at all. Maybe they're out for a date. Deja's definitely dressed up for one, and Arya is always dressed up. Honestly, I didn't want this to be a very story-heavy one, so I just gave them a cute interaction. Arya's redoing her makeup, and Deja's sitting content. They talk. They flirt. These honestly don't have to be super story-intensive. They could just be simple interactions like this, but adding a story never hurts, never hurts. On to lighting! Yay! The star of the show, the spotlight, I don't know what I'm saying. Oh my stars. Please do not have the opposite light source of your image on your characters. I'm actually begging you with this. Please identify where the light comes from while you're still in the sketch phase. Draw arrows of the light source if it helps. I know I do. Honestly, I do. I absolutely did this on this piece, and it is a really good reminder, and it means you are confident in your lighting. You can pinpoint exactly where it's coming from, and it's not a crutch, it's a tool. And honestly, I feel like people who market are better artists. Or at least artists who don't forget where their light source is coming from. Me. What? Who said that? Must have been the wind. But no, we're talking about me. I always forget my light source. I'm owning up to it. There's honestly not much I can say on lighting. You should definitely study it. This can really help you study it. Actually, this exercise can. One more thing though is that shadows are not just from the sun. They're also from objects around them, like the leaves on a tree, or light through a window being obstructed by the wood things in the middle that I can't quite place my finger on the name, so I'll show an image of it on my screen. I feel like I often forget that. Like, there's objects in your drawing besides your character in the sun, and I feel like even outside of this challenge, using objects to create shadow can make a lot of cool effects, and even cooler compositions. Like shadows from leaves look cool. Look at this. You could definitely work that into your art somehow, besides this challenge. It can also help make better contrast for your compositions, or draw the eye to certain parts of your piece. Okay, I went a little off topic on a tangent about shadows, but that is all for my advice on lighting. Now, before we move on to ideas and benefits of this exercise, I have another story, because this is a transactional relationship where I force you to listen about my characters. And this one is going to be even more improv than any of the other ones, because I am opening up my drawing app as we speak and I'm getting a connection error, but we're gonna go ahead anyway. Okay, we found it. Okay, these pieces, I wrote no script for this part, so we're not connected to the internet. Okay, here we go. I threw Bo into random weird core pictures that I found online for this set of advice. Yes. Okay, I threw Bo into random settings and I just wanted to see him have a mental breakdown. Honestly, I wanted him to be like, oh, this teacup's cute, but where the hell am I? Where am I? Excuse me. And then the strawberry one comes after the teacup one, so it's like sequential. This is like chronological. You get to see him have further mental breakdowns as I throw him into other settings. So the strawberries, that comes after, and he's just like so done with being teleported question mark to random settings that are kind of freaky when you think about them. They're kind of weird and odd, but yeah, that's the story for that one. We're done with unscripted Kleppic. We are on to ideas and benefits of this exercise. So first, this can help you understand environments and their effects on the lighting of your characters even if you don't want to necessarily go through the effort of studying lighting on your characters by drawing a fully rendered background. Because honestly, me neither. I don't want to do a study where I have to do a whole study before that on backgrounds. Because who enjoys backgrounds? Not me. I've drawn like 50 of them at this point. I have like 3 videos of them on my account. I don't want to do backgrounds anymore. I hate backgrounds still, and I'm still forced to draw them. It's okay. Trust. I'm not going crazy. Crazy? I was crazy. Second, not a benefit, but one more quick thing to mention on advice is that if your photo is blurry or very pixelated, you will probably end up having to sacrifice detail to make your character fit in better by putting a blur over them as well to help them fit in. I had to do that with Bo on the previous drawings of the Weird Core ones because the photos were like incredibly pixelated, as you probably saw. Third, it can also help you with making more realistic poses and situations for your character, because drawing them doing a peace sign for the 50 billionth time isn't the most natural. We're still talking about me here, guys. This is Klepek slander. Fourth, you can do a Where's Waldo IRL with your characters. That's awesome. You could even dress them up as Waldo too and up the stakes. Do a real Where's Waldo with your characters dressed up as Waldo. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I think it's the coolest thing ever. I'm probably gonna do that, honestly. Fifth, I've been really needing to study lighting lately, actually, and this was a really low stakes way to see how different lighting works on my characters, so this was actually really good for me. And probably will be for you too if you do it. You should do it. What are you waiting for? You're still watching the video, you can use this as background noise. I don't mind. Sixth, usually when I draw my characters in backgrounds, like ones I've drawn myself, which is rare. I've done it a couple times. Not as much as I should. I usually just draw the backgrounds and the character on top though, paying pretty little attention to their surroundings and how it affects them. But this taught me that environments play a really significant part in how your characters look in your scene or drawing. Alright, that's all of my last minute advice out of the way, and that here is my last little story time. Okay, alright, this is my last minute advice out of the way, and with that, here is my last little story time as well. Dottie and Frasier broke into an abandoned wall, somehow climbed pretty near the ceiling to those creepy ass statues, and Dottie said they should do a Rapunzel musical improv. Can you tell I'm making literally all of this up on the spot? It's pretty easy to do so when you have that as your character though. A loose ticking time bomb that will literally do whatever they want when they want. So Dottie is Flynn Rider, by the way. Rapunzel, let down your hair is what they're calling. Frasier is both Rapunzel and Mother Gothel, but it doesn't make much difference to him what he is, since he has no emotions to portray onto the characters he's playing. Dottie's having fun though, so that's a win. Look at that smile. Alright, we're done with my shenanigans. I think everybody should give this exercise a try. It's really good practice for lighting and natural posing. And if you do, please be sure to let me know down below. Also, feel free to tag me if you're inspired and decide to do this yourself. I'm by no means the creator of this challenge or exercise, but I would still love to see any pieces if they're inspired by my words. I may or may not be not very active on TikTok or Instagram, but still feel free to tag me on them. I will see them nonetheless. Thank you so much for watching until the end, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I am currently trying to grow my YouTube channel, so do be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to make me a very happy camper. Thank you so much for your support of my videos. It really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you next time, and goodbye!